What is up, guys? Welcome back to season one, episode seven of D Speeds podcast. You guys already know who it is, but for those who don't know my name or who I am still, I'm Daniel. I can be new. Once again, welcome back to another episode of D Speeds podcast. And without further ado, we're going to get right into today's session. Before we begin, I'd like to take the time to introduce my guest for the day. Why don't you take the time to introduce yourself, talk a little bit about yourself, and even shout out your social media platforms?
Okay, so my name's Caleb Wagner. I'm one of Daniel's biggest fans of his channel. I've been there since the beginning, since when he started, and he had like a few subscribers.
He was an OG. This is
I
the
was like
original.
one of the first people. I go to the University of Windsor. I'm a first year engineering student. I plan on majoring in mechatronics engineering, which is like robotics. My Instagram will be here somewhere when Daniel adds that.
Once
But yeah.
again, thank you so much, Caleb, for coming out and joining me in my podcast for today. I really appreciate it, especially from you because we have been friends for such a long. Caleb, you were one of the first two people I met when I first came to Windsor. Like when I first got here, when I was like, I don't even know where to begin. I just saw you, like, you know what? Let's kick it off. And look where we are now. That was probably like 2013. No, 2013 I came. 2014 was when like around that time was when I started coming to Parkwood, which is the church we go to. And then all of a sudden, like, the friendship just sparked from there. And honestly, I really appreciate you, man. You've always been supporting me from the beginning. And man, it's just been so long. Like, we've just had such a long connection. Without further ado, we're going to get right into today's podcast. So, I want to start off this podcast with kind of talking about something that I saw on Twitter the other day. It's a quote from Steve Harvey. And, like, it kind of really spoke out to me. And I'd like to, like, share it on today's podcast. The quote goes, success is not, or the way he says it is, success ain't just about making it. It's about maintaining it. You gotta stay hungry, stay humble, and keep evolving. So tell me, what's your next move? When I heard that quote, it got me really thinking, like, what is it in my life that defines success? What do you think about that quote, Caleb?
That's that's a hard one. Um, Obviously, some people think about money and they think about, oh, I want to make a lot of money. I want to be successful, like with a business, or I want to have a family. I think success is more than just money. I think it is definitely the people you have around you. I think having great friends like you, Daniel, is one way that I have success. Is making good connections with people that are genuine, that mean a lot. I mean, making money is also another way to be successful, but I think more than money is your relationships and the depth of those relationships with those around you.
Definitely. I would definitely agree with you on that relationships part. I feel like when you form good relationships with people, it really doesn't have to be romantic relationships. It can just be friendships. Again, I appreciate everyone that I've ever met ever since I was born, man. I appreciate everyone. I appreciate the time that I've spent with everyone, and all around, I feel like the connections that I've made with these people have also been a huge influence on the success that I can define now. Me and my YouTube channel, me and my career, University of Windsor, and just all around how I've been living my life now. With that being said, we're gonna jump right into our questions segment. So obviously, you guys know how this goes. You guys send us questions that you want us to answer on the podcast, whether it's through my TikTok or through the comment section down below. If you're watching this on YouTube, you guys send us the questions and we answer your questions. Today, Caleb has helped us by picking out 4 really good questions. I went through the questions that were actually really good. With that being said, we're going to pick out the questions randomly out of this hat and answer the questions to the best of our abilities. You want to pick out the first question? Here you go.
Sure. Okay, so the first question is, do you think social media helps or hinders your ability to be authentic?
Obviously on social media, being real with everyone that you know on social media, or what does it mean? Like, what does it mean when it's like authentic? Like, what do you think it means?
I feel like a lot of people nowadays like put up a kind of mask when they talk to others, when they interact with people online or in person, because it can be scary to be vulnerable and to kind of be yourself around other people, it's much easier, I would say, to put up like a mask and just, oh, I'm just going to be overly funny and not actually be genuine. And it's kind of a way of like protecting yourself.
I understand where you're coming from. From my point of view, if I see someone on social media, well, based on what they post, based on how they portray themselves on social media, it gives me that a thought of, maybe I'm not fit for that type of person. Maybe if I ever met them in real life, we wouldn't like vibe. We wouldn't have that type of connection. But it's crazy because it's not until you get to know that person in real life that you then have second thoughts like, the way I thought about you on social media is so much more different than the way you portray yourself in real life. Like I can give you a good example. Just the other day, one of my close friends, her name is Blessing. She sent me a text. She said this one girl that we know in uni came out of nowhere and just appeared at one of the lounges at the University of Windsor. And she had a great conversation with her. She was talking. She was like, she was just vibing with her. And I remember when I first heard about that girl, I saw her Instagram. I went on her Instagram. I went on her like her profile pictures and everything. She doesn't look like the type of person that would talk or like you'd have like a really good time with. But the way Blessing kind of like explained to me how much of a great time she had with her, it was like, I would have never thought that you were that type of person. Even based on her pictures, I didn't think she was the talkative one too, you know? And I find that kind of crazy because I feel like that's the way we view everyone in this world today. Instagram has become our portfolio or like our resume. You know, if we're trying to apply to be someone's friend, we gotta check check their Instagram, see how they're living their lifestyle, you know, and based off of that, that's the best way we can judge who they are and take that as a good thing or like a bad thing. You know what I'm saying? So I agree with everything you said. You know, I just believe that social media in a way kind of does hinder, you know, your way to be authentic and to be real with who you are as a person.
No, I think I completely agree with you. I think social media definitely hinders like people's ability to be authentic because as you said, like if you're looking at someone's Instagram account, all you can tell about them is through like a few photos of them.
Mm-hmm,
Which
mm-hmm,
what do photos tell you?
mm-hmm,
Not a
mm-hmm,
whole lot
mm-hmm,
always. Like, well, maybe they don't have any posts.
mm-hmm.
Like I think I have 2 posts on my account. And for
Yeah,
a long time, I had 0. And
yeah,
a lot of my friends I know, they have private accounts and they don't have any posts. And so
exactly.
it's like some people like looking at an account, like you would see my profile picture and maybe
Mm-hmm,
that's it.
mm-hmm.
And maybe my bio.
Mm-hmm. You
And
know,
like,
sorry, I'm so sorry to cut off, but
no, you're
something
good.
that you said that like just made me think about this. You mentioned something about your pictures. Let's not even like go as far as pictures. Let's go into the Instagram bios. You'll hear, you know, you'll see people put Bible scriptures like John 1:3:16. But when you see their pictures, when you see the way they talk to you, the way they text you,
Mm,
it's so much more different than you know what they're putting on their Instagram bios. They put something like, "Oh, God first." Most of the time, it's something that has to do with religion. But the
mm.
way when they put that compared to who they are as a person is completely different. Again, like you said, social media does influence or it does hinders the way you're being authentic with yourself and everyone else around you. But I also feel like the way you portray yourself on social media will definitely have an impact on how people see you as a whole.
I like what you said about the Bible verses in the bio because anyone can just put a Bible verse as a Christian. If I see someone and they're also a Christian, that's like, oh, we have that in common. But I wonder how many of those people, if you ask them, what does that Bible verse say,
They will
would
know.
be able to tell you. If they can't tell you what it says, why did they put that
In
in
the
their
bio,
bio? They should have it
exactly.
memorized
Oh my gosh, that's
or at
so.
least know what it's about.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
Honestly, I just find it so funny that people do those type of things. I feel like they do it, you know, not necessarily to draw attention, but to make you think like, maybe they are a man of God, maybe they are a woman of God, you know.
and there's also like super generic Bible verses like John 3:16.
It's
I'm
like the most used,
I'm like,
overused.
okay, if that's in your bio, I'm like, it's a great verse. John
Mm-hmm.
3:16,
Mm-hmm.
God so loved the world. It's in a classic verse, but
Exactly.
you couldn't find anything else. You couldn't open the Bible and find a single other verse that applies to your life. You had to
Oh
choose
my
the most
God. The
generic
generic,
verse. That
exactly.
tells me a lot about you, potentially.
That's the world we live in, man. It's almost like copy and paste. Oh, you see someone doing it, it's drawing them attention. All right, let me do it myself. Honestly, it is what it is, man. It's just the world we live in. All right, I'm going to choose out our next question. What is the biggest lesson to take being a freshman in college / uni? So unfortunately, we're not in college, but we can tell you our experience in uni. Why don't you go ahead with that question?
The biggest lesson I've learned so far, you can't be slacking anymore. that's that's a big thing I've learned.
Mm-hmm.
I found that in my first semester of university, the first like week or two, I really wasn't trying at all. I was just like in any spare time, I was just scrolling or watching YouTube. I was just messing around. I and then week like 3 or 4 hit, and I'm like, oh,
I'm so far
I
behind.
I
Like,
know. I was like, I have to catch up in every subject, and I'm
yeah.
like, oh, this is unfortunate.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have as much time to be wasting time
Oh
on
my
social media
gosh.
anymore.
I hear you, bro. I hear you. Like after the first week of uni, it's just like, oh, okay, it's not as bad as you thought. It's not until you get to week 2, week 3, you're like slowly realizing, wait, I didn't know we had these assignments that are due in like 2 days. Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
But yeah, a lesson that I learned, I guess, just be careful who you surround yourself with. Getting into new uni, there are so many things that will draw your attention to, so many clubs, so many people. In the moment, they might seem like something that you're so interested in. You want to try it for the first. It's most of the time it's not a good idea for you to try it. We could go from today. I was invited to a party. I was like, oh, okay, that sounds so cool. I was invited to come do videos there, videography, do edit videos for them. They're like, oh, that's so cool. Like, I was really excited. Even the way the guy kind of explained what he wanted me to do, I was like, yeah, I got this. No, don't worry, I got it. And then I asked him, I said, is there gonna be food there? Because that's usually the first question when I'm invited to a party. I'm like, is there gonna be food? He's like, no. I was like, oh, okay, it's kind of weird. I'm like, all right, cool. And then I asked him like, what time does the party start? He said 10 p.m. I was like, whoa. After they told me about the party, I had a friend who was sitting next to me. She was like, yeah, Dana won't want to come. Like Dana won't be interested. I'm like, what do you mean I'm not interested? It's a party. Like, let's go have some fun. And she's like, no, you don't want to go to any of these parties. I was like, what are you talking about? And then I asked him what time it started, and then I was like, oh. He wanted to come past the time that I don't usually, step out of my house to do stuff like that. I didn't end up going to the party. Let me point that out right now. I didn't go to the party, but what I realized was that I really have to be careful about who I surround myself with and the things that people would try to pressure me to do because most of the time, well, almost 100% of the time, it's not always good. You sometimes you just got to stay in your lane and do what you're needed to do in uni and get out. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, the biggest lesson I would take out of uni is just watching who you're surrounding yourself with, and honestly, take some time to have a little bit of fun. There are some events that happen at the University of Windsor, at least in the beginning of the school year when I know I did not take uni seriously. I went to all of those events. And one of my New Year's resolutions was that I would go to less events this year. And I feel like I'm living up to that now. I've only been to one good event out of like the 15 events that they've thrown so far. But take some time out of studying, go to some events, connect with people. Enjoy uni, man. Enjoy that uni life. Have a little bit of fun. Don't have too much fun, but have some fun. Get to know people, and just make sure your experience is worth you going to uni. So yeah, do you have anything to add?
I do have some stuff to add. So I think that's a really good lesson of like being careful who you surround yourself with. I have a different kind of view. So Daniel, obviously you're an extrovert. You love
Yeah.
people. I am the opposite. I'm
Yeah.
an introvert. I don't really like people
Yeah.
all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Like I do like people and I do like being around people, but I'm good being by myself.
Mhm.
And I
Mhm.
feel like my problem, especially in the first semester, wasn't um, being involved with too many things. It's not being involved in anything. I
Okay.
feel like for me, I'm someone who like I can just go to class, and often nowadays, like I have friends I've made in engineering, and I usually sit with my friends through my classes and maybe we'll talk a little bit during the class, but especially in the beginning, I found sometimes I just go to class. I wouldn't talk to anyone all day. I'd get home, I'd be in my room working on stuff. I wouldn't talk to my family all day,
Wow.
and it was just like that every single day. And it was just a lonely place to be. Like, I feel like I've gotten better at like I've made more friends in engineering, and so I talk to more people. But even I don't know, I haven't made a ton of friends, I would say. So I feel like for me, it's almost the opposite. It's like being willing to put myself out there and make friends and go up to someone and be like, "Hey, what's your name? What like stream of engineering are you doing?"
So kind of
Um,
like meeting in the middle for
yeah,
on both sides,
yeah.
introvert and extrovert.
I
Okay.
feel like you took it to one extreme, I took it
And
to
to
the
the
other
lowest.
extreme of like you don't want to be involved in too much. I don't want to be by myself throughout all of university. Like I get to third, fourth year and be like, I made like two friends.
Yeah, I
I don't
hear
want that to
you.
happen.
I
So
hear you. I hear you. Well, guys, you taking it from us, man. If you're an extrovert, let's bring it down to like a moderate level. And if you're an introvert, let's bring it up a bit. You know, it's
yeah.
always great to talk to new people and get some new experiences. Here, you choose the next
All
question.
right. Oh, this is a deep one.
It's always the deep questions, man.
So this question is, how do you define happiness?
Ooh.
That
Whoa,
is very deep.
how do you define happiness? How we have to think about this one. Do you have anything to say?
Yes. So first off, the way I would answer this question is from a Christian like perspective because I am a Christian, and so I would say happiness for me is following the Lord's will for me because I know, like, as a Christian, I strongly believe that God has the best plans for my life and that He is kind of leading me and directing me through all the decisions, even decisions where it's hard to figure out what I'm supposed to do. I feel like He has often helped me a lot through that.
Mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
so I feel like as a Christian, the only way to really find happiness is living the life that God's calling me to live. This past semester, I feel like I was living it kind of without God, if that makes sense. I was
Yeah.
just kind of going to a class and another class and then going home. And it was just very tiring. And I wasn't really spending time with God like how I would want to. Um,
Would you say, sorry, I'm sorry to bother you,
no,
but would you say that, your experience with uni, it lessened the time that you could have been able to spend with your relationship with God, with Jesus?
yes, I would say that's true. And I feel like it wasn't even just that I had homework or that I had classes, it was that I wasn't making time. Like for me, I would get back from school after a lot of my classes would go from 8:30 a.m. to pretty late, like 5 p.m. or whatever. I'd get home and I'd be tired. So I wouldn't want to read my Bible. I wouldn't want to spend time with the Lord. I just want to watch some videos, or just like I'd want to eat food while
Yeah,
watching
yeah,
something,
yeah.
and then a few hours go by, and then I just wouldn't make time, and I feel like I was just doing it without God, and that caused me to feel really empty and kind of alone, and I ended up in a bit of a dark place a little bit. Thankfully, I do have family and friends and stuff that I was able to turn to, and I asked for prayer and stuff. And now I'm doing a lot better,
That's good. That's
and
good.
I feel like this semester is going to be really good for me.
That's good. That's
Um,
good.
but yeah, I feel like happiness for me is definitely rooted in my relationship with God. Well, even taking time to do things you enjoy. Like as you said, you want to have fun in university, not too much,
Not too much. Yeah, not
but
too much
you want to
fun,
do
but
things you enjoy, right?
yes,
Like whether
yeah.
that's playing guitar or um, going out with friends
Doing a
or
hobby.
yeah, doing hobbies are great ways to have fun. And I feel like in this past semester, I maybe wasn't really doing much of that. And that's why I didn't feel happy
Okay.
because I wasn't doing things I enjoyed, you
Okay.
know?
Okay. I hear where you're coming from. Yeah, I agree 100% with you. Developing that relationship with Christ and understanding what it is that He wants you to do on this earth based on the path that He set you. He knows that this career is worth your happiness. It's at the end of the day, despite the hard work that you're gonna go through, he has he has a goal for you to be happy with what it is that He set you on the path for. Like you said, the people that you surround yourself, they don't define happiness for you, but they have an influence on your happiness. And that's where you as an individual can come in. You can decide to get rid of those that aren't bringing you happiness, or try and look for the people that have the same values and morals that you have, that you know will make you happy. I know that there are a lot of people that have different religions, so I would just say that develop your relationship with the religion that you practice. Do things that you know genuinely makes you happy. We're coming to our last question of the day. This question says, "How do you know that you have found the one?" That's a good question. So let me start off with this, all right?
You got it,
I
Daniel. I think you might have some more experience than I do.
So okay, I saw this one TikTok. There's this couple. They were talking about how they realized that they were the one. I found it really funny. She said that she read her Bible. She was talking to God. She created this passcode, this keyword. She'd wait for the person that she was dating to say that would like solidify that that person was the one for her. After that day, I was like thinking to myself, I'm like, huh, what word can I use that I can use for someone if I get into a relationship and like, oh, as soon as they say that word, that person is the one for me. And it wasn't just like any random word. It's a word that you wouldn't say often, like a keyword that nobody just says on a random day. They went on a date while he was eating his food. He just thought of the word and he spoke it. Now, it had her scared because she thought that he was reading her journal, reading all the things that she was writing down. Maybe that's how he decided to say the word. But it was on such a random day after he had said that. She asked him, like, oh, why did you say that word? Or where did that word come from? He kind of just stopped eating. He said, I don't know. I just thought about it and it kind of came out of nowhere. So, I mean, I wouldn't say that that's how you know you found the one. That's an option. But, like, I believe that different people find the one in different ways. Some of them obviously would be through relationships with Christ. Another one could be through their career paths. They just happen to bump into each other based on their career paths and it just aligned. Some of them, they kind of grew up knowing each other and they just know everything about each other and it felt like fate. That's how I would see you finding the one. What do you think, Caleb?
I think that is very valid. All of that, like I agree with that for sure. Um, one way for me, when when I think of finding the one, I'm thinking of finding the person you're gonna marry. Is one thing, and so I think one thing that helps with that is being intentional with your romantic relationships and being clear about what the purpose is. For me, I believe in dating for the purpose of marriage.
Yeah.
I know there's lots of people that they date multiple people and they never plan on getting married.
Like trial and
Um,
error, that's just
yeah,
their
and they're
plan.
like, well, some people are dating and like, yeah, I'm dating you for a while and like we'll just kind of see where it goes, and they don't necessarily have a specific goal. If that's you, then like people can do whatever they want with their own romantic lives, but personally, I feel like if you have like a realistic goal of, oh, I'm dating to find the one, to find the person I'm going to marry, that makes it a lot easier to find them. And you can also be honest about that. You can be like, hey, like I'm dating for the purpose of marriage. Like, are you also like serious enough that you could potentially see us getting married in the future? And if that's a no, then maybe you're like, oh, then maybe this isn't the one.
Let's just stay friends,
Yeah,
man. Like, if it's not something that you know you both can commit to in the future, then don't proceed with it. Don't even force it to happen because that's just gonna make it worse.
yeah. I feel like another thing that can be helpful. I know that some, like my brother, for example, is recently engaged.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Wait, when does it? What? When did this happen?
This was I don't know, like a week or two ago. Like a very
Oh,
recent.
no way! Wow, I'm so
Yeah,
happy for you guys. What? This is,
yeah,
guys. I wish I could stage this reaction. This is so crazy. What? I'm so sorry. Continue, continue.
yeah. But anyways, so he got engaged recently. But something that they did when they first kind of started dating, even before they officially started dating, they like got to know each other more as friends, and like they hung out and like maybe they did go places to eat or whatever. But it was more as friends for like a few months, maybe 2 months or 3 months, to get to know each other. And then once they knew each other, they were able to make a decision of, are we the right people for each other? I feel like you should know, like almost be friends with someone before you just straight up enter a relationship.
Like make them your best friend. And I said that in my podcast before. I don't believe in best friends, but in that scenario, like you gotta know them on a whole different level for you to even have the idea of being together, let alone dating, let alone marriage. Like the idea of committing to each other. Get to know that person, be very close with that person before you start having those ideas. Yeah, I hear where you're
Yeah,
coming from,
I
Caleb.
feel like it's very common today for people to have like a lot of intimacy, whether that be sexual or in other ways, before they actually get to know the person on like a personal level. And I feel like it should be the other way around. I feel like you should know the person on a personal level before any intimacy, before anything like that. And
Definitely,
that's something
definitely.
that's definitely important to me. Um, yeah, and I think that helps find the one.
Wow, that is honestly, Caleb. I'm still like shocked with the fact that your brother's in kid. That's absolutely amazing. I'm so happy for you, your family, your brother. That's absolutely unreal. Well, we have come to the end of our question segment. We're moving on to our final segment, which is the guests open for segment. So this is a segment where you as the guest get to talk about anything that's been going on your mind lately, whatever that's on the internet, out in the world, anything that you just want to talk about. I mean, the floor is yours.
So I want to talk about New Year's resolutions.
I can't
Okay?
love
Because this is,
that.
yes, a little bit interesting topic, I would say.
we're almost like done January. You want to talk about New Year's
Yes,
resolutions?
I
All
want to talk
right.
about how are people, did you make New Year's resolutions and how are they going? Like,
How are
because
you guys doing with your New
we're a
Year's
month in.
resolutions?
Because
Yeah.
personally, I feel like I just recently made a New Year's resolution,
Really? What is
almost
it?
in a sense. Okay, so let me explain. So as I kind of talked about earlier, I feel like this last semester didn't go as well as I wanted it to. I don't know. I just wasn't super happy. I was a little bit lonely, but I feel like my New Year's resolution is I'm able to look back at like even all of 2024, and now I can decide like what do I want to change? Like who do I want to become in this next year? And then actually go out and try and become that person. To actually keep a New Year's resolution, you have to have a lot of discipline and it needs to be a daily thing. Like you need to be committed to like, oh, I'm gonna work out every day. Like you need to be willing to do it. And I feel like a reason why most people don't keep the New Year's resolutions is for the first week or two, they're like, oh, they're going strong. And then they like fail like once. And they're like, well, I failed once. I might as well give up.
Yeah, like I can't keep pushing. It is
Yeah.
what it is.
And that's not the mentality you should have. You should have, oh, like I might have slipped up, but now I can try harder
Mm-hmm.
to keep going.
Discipline. Yeah, you're right. You're definitely right. The discipline aspect of the New Year's resolution. People do not understand that, man. And I don't think it's not until you understand that aspect that you'll then realize that, okay, at some point I'm gonna fall. That you can't let that mistake define the rest of your New Year's. We still have like 11 months to go, man.
Exactly.
Like at some point you need a break. You need to sit down. You need to relax. Give it an hour, a day or two. But don't let that specific situation be the reason that you stopped working on that New Year's resolution for the rest of the year. Anyways, with that being said, Caleb, I want to thank you once again for joining me on my podcast for today. I really, really, really appreciate it. You have no idea how much it means, how much it meant when you sent me that message on Instagram. You're like, Dano, I want to be a part of your podcast. I kid you not. When I sent that message, I was like, wait, is this Caleb? It was a huge shocker to me, but I'm so grateful. I'm so thankful that you came up and you took the time out of your day to come on my podcast and to have fun with me. With that being said, if you want to shout out your socials once again before you leave.
Yep, my Instagram is here somewhere. I don't know the name exactly.
Don't worry, I'll put it up for you. Yeah, and with that being said, guys, thank you once again for joining my podcast. If you guys are new viewers to my channel, don't forget to click that subscribe button. If you have any comments on anything we've talked about in the podcast today, leave it in the comment section down below. And with that being said, I'll see you guys in our next podcast. Peace.